Yes. I wasn't planning to speak, but I've heard Mini Sink mentioned twice, so I'm going to take a minute and talk about it. It's just starting to come out as the whole story. It'll be coming out through the New Hampshire Coalition in the next week. On Monday night in Temple, we'll be doing a presentation. I want to share what that Mini Sink story is. In about 2012, the town of Mini Sink, New York, which is made up of 3 little hamlets, which is similar to, say, New Ipswich, Greenville, and Temple, or Mason in that area. Population is about the same size. They fought the battle just like we're fighting the battle here. There's a myriad of videos and documentation on the web about it. We've compiled the whole story into one place. They lost the battle to have a compressor station of 12,000 horsepower put into their town. There were 2 options for where this compressor station could go. One was near the homes, near the center of town, and the other, excuse me, was out on the Millennium Pipeline-owned land, not near any homes. Now, before it was built, nobody knew this, but the reason the pipeline company wanted it over here next to the homes because it was going to ultimately be a hub where other lines were coming in and they were going to tie off elsewhere. Nobody knew that at the time. FERC voted 3-2 to put that compressor station near the homes rather than over here. The 2 people who dissented were the chairman and Cheryl LaFleur, who is still on it. The chairman has left. Cheryl took over, I think it's Cheryl or Sherry, took over as chairman at the time. They both dissented basically on the grounds that the air quality in the town would suffer if it was put over here. Nevertheless, it went in. The town tried to sue, they lost. It continued to be built. One important factor that was here was there was a lot of 9/11 first responders that lived in this area. And one of them was very vocal. His picture was one of the pictures you saw on 9/11 when they were trying to go in and find people. And he had lung problems, and that was his reason for, his reason for living there. Subsequently, he has sold his house at a loss and moved away because he was pretty much almost across the street from this thing. In any case, they get the compressor station. As soon as it goes in, within weeks to months, within a very short time, people started getting nosebleeds, headaches, nausea, aches and pains, various illnesses. Newspaper articles were written about it. They pulled in documentation from Harvard, where there were 2 studies, one in 2014 that was released and one in 2015 was released, regarding, they found high concentrations of particle matter 2.5 in the canisters at Mini Sink. Very high. That was the thing that caught the researchers' eye. The other things like the Vox were there, but they weren't in large quantities. The 2.5 was. The Harvard studies pointed to anything over 6 was a problem medically. EPA limit is 12. They saw readings in the hundreds. Okay? So, bottom line is, now they try to go and decommission the compressor station. They go all the way to, I forget, I don't want to say Supreme Court, but it was very high court in Washington. They lose. Ultimately, compressor station's still there. Now, a year or more later, 7 miles down the road in a town called Wawawanda, New York, a company called Competitive Power Ventures is trying to build a gas-fired electrical plant. And that was one of the things that got tied in on this hub line. That's currently in court trying to be stopped. They had, and I can't be positive on my numbers here, I want to say that they legally had 75 tons available to them of toxic materials that they could produce under their given carbon credits. They went out and bought approximately 75 more tons from companies in Philadelphia 350 miles away, so that they now had that huge amount of toxins that they could pollute with. So this is currently in progress and in court in Walla Wanda. So that's the kind of the story of Minisink. So, point of all of this, so that you guys all walk away with this, we're about to start trying to reach out to our legislator to make this presentation. Not legislatures, to our congressional district. Thank you. I should keep looking at you so you can go like this. My wife. The congressional delegation, because they could have the power to do what I'm about to say. The reason Minisink couldn't win in court was they did not have any benchmark air, soil, water testing done before the compressor station went in. It got thrown out because there was no benchmark. So we want our congressional delegation to demand those of us who would be forced to live within 3 miles of this compressor station put in that Kinder Morgan has to pay for benchmark testing and post-construction testing if this goes through. Awesome. Secondly,
is that done by a third party?
And that's the other thing, third party, correct. We want a third party to do that testing. And another thing is when they do these compressor stations, they do what's called modeling, where they estimate how much pollution and whatever is going to come out of these stacks. The modeling is done by independent companies that, not according to me, but according to documents that you can read online, are done by companies that will play with the numbers so that they come in as a minor emitter. You can either be a minor emitter or a major emitter. Nobody ever comes in as a minor, and that is the reason why. You can look it up online. If you look at the Harvard